So today I wanted to talk a bit about dietary restrictions, choices, preferences. Essentially, the thesis to this video is that some choices, like being a vegan, is a privilege that some people don't have. There was a phase in my life where I actively went out of my way to eat non-meat alternatives. Not 100% or 24/7, but I vastly cut down my meat intake and would pick specific days where I just have soy milk and a granola bar for breakfast, rice and veggies for lunch, and a bean burger for dinner. It was more for the sake of trying a different diet for my partner at the time than losing weight or morals. Not that I don't think vegans are saints, because they are. I've always liked the idea of being vegan or vegetarian. Consuming less meat is good whether you're fully committed to it or not. Agriculture is like the leading source of global warming and all that. On top of, you're killing an animal that you don't even go through the trouble of raising yourself to sustain your own pathetic human life, which I feel guilty about too. Anyway, during that time, I realized something that not a lot of people talk about. Being a vegan is a financially privileged decision. Not so much nowadays. There are loads of different kinds of alternatives, and fast food companies are going out of their way to offer non-meat meals where back like a decade ago, they couldn't have given less of a shit about pleasing the plant eaters. In 2017-ish, even trying to vicariously dip my toes into being a vegan was a struggle because of where I lived and my budget. In the end, I had to give up my little adventure into non-meat dieting for a few reasons. One, there weren't enough options available at the local grocer, the only grocery store in the small town I was living in, to not have to repeat the same meal multiple times a week. Two, it was too expensive. I was not in a good way financially, and I couldn't justify spending more money to get less food quantity-wise, and which couldn't provide the same nutritional value. Beef burgers were more cost-effective and available than bean burgers. Because it was a small town, the demand for alternative products was lower, so it cost the store more effort to stock them, which reflected in even further inflation of the prices. With inflation, everything is fucked up right now, but at that time, in the mid-2010s, it made no financial sense for me to spend an extra $5 to get fake chicken hot dogs than just get regular ones. The meat industry was and is too prevalent, and if there's no demand for alternatives in a small town, they will not be made readily available to people without a huge markup, or just even be made available at all. Shopkeepers have no incentive to stock up on something non-profitable. And as much as I think being a vegan and having access to alternatives is easier now, it's not that much more affordable than a decade ago. That is, not if you want to be a healthy vegan. It's technically easy to not eat meat, but it's hard to not eat meat and get the same vitamins you need as if you did. Supplements and vitamins you need to be a healthy vegan are expensive. And you know what else is? Nuts. Nuts are fucking expensive. Like, holy shit. I love pistachios, but I don't think I'll ever feel financially secure enough to buy a bag of them for myself on a whim. Pistachios are a pure privilege. As far as we've come at making the world more accessible to vegans, there's still a huge physical and financial barrier stopping people like me from becoming one. I'm making a not-so-wild prediction here that eventually the meat industry is going to end up like the gas industry, where we've all been raised into dependency on it, but soon that's going to come crashing down around us. Be that in suppliers' ability to raise and supply healthy livestock anymore, or that the agriculture industry is going to be forced to regulate because of global warming, or hike costs of products up to properly reflect its carbon tax. Whichever it is, we're going to hit a wall with how much meat can actually be produced compared to how much demand there is for it, and there will be price gouging, scarcity, and panic all around. Typical, right? You know how we humans are. Act like we don't see inevitably doomed systems failing and clinging to them until the very last moment. Does this video have a point? Yes. This is not a call to you, or me, really, to stop eating meat right now or else. Although eating less meat certainly wouldn't be a bad thing. No, this is a call out to meat alternative companies. Get your shit together and offer more affordable products. It might just be where I lived, the lack of demand causing higher prices and lack of options, but there is a logical part in the back of my brain telling me that it doesn't make sense that 6 bean burgers should cost more than 10 beef burgers. A cow takes up more space than a bean plant. A cow ruins land so it's unusable afterward, unlike bean plants. A cow needs to be fed crops, unlike bean plants that just need water. A cow takes years to mature, unlike bean plants. So why on God's not so green anymore earth? Don't the prices of these products reflect that? The The process and investment required between the two just doesn't add up, my guys. Maybe I'm ignorant. You tell me. Inform me on what part of the system is causing this illogical distortion in price, because I'd like to know. And all I'm trying to say is that I think a lot of people like me would eat a lot more non-meat options if it didn't so severely disadvantage us to do so. Let's streamline the vegan alternatives industry so it doesn't bankrupt the average Joe to indulge, before the agriculture industry can't afford to produce meat anymore, and we just can't afford to buy it. That was my TED Talk. Thanks.